Hello and welcome to episode 26 of Retro Recall the PS1 Chronicles, a show where we play and rank every PlayStation game ever created. My name is Jimmy, and as always, I'm here with Mike.
Hello.
So this is another wheel spin, and I was surprised we hit this because I've played this game as a kid.
Yeah, same. It was weird because going into this, I thought, did I have this game as a kid or did I only play the demo? Because the only level that ever stuck out to me was the first one. We'll get into that more, but I think I did own this at some point.
So I'm pretty sure I had it. I know I for sure had it on a demo. And then I think I might have bought it on PS3 when they had the PS1 classics.
Oh, okay.
Because I remembered it being good. And I played a little bit more of it, but I didn't really beat it or anything. But yeah, I'm kind of surprised we haven't gotten into licensed games really.
Not really, no. And that's why when it popped up on the list, I was like, oh yeah, let's instantly do this. We haven't done anything like this before. Let's just jump in.
Well, at least a lot of the retro or older consoles, a good chunk of the library is licensed games. So we're going to be doing this a lot. I just, they're not really fondly remembered for the most part. So it's I'm not excited to play a lot of them. Even looking at a list of games, there's so many Disney's this, Pixar's this.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, obviously we're going to play them all and we're going to find out, but I don't have high hopes for them.
No, and that was just the way things were back then of, oh, here's this new movie coming out and here's the game to go with that movie. And it's just the way that it was marketed. Yeah,
it's been decades since that's really been going on. Honestly, at this point, the last time I really remember it, not decades, but maybe 15 years ago, around the 360 generation, I remember some of them still coming out. But once we get into more modern consoles, I don't remember anything.
And maybe it's just that we don't pay attention anymore to it. I wonder if it is still a thing that they do.
Well, I think most of the time they're mobile games now.
Oh, good point. Yeah.
I mean, any movie or show that comes out, there's 5 mobile games, whether they're just a gacha game or a endless runner or just, a management game or something like that. They just milk whatever they can out of it.
Just take the same game, change the skins and change the character on it and then re-release it again.
Exactly. But yeah, I mean, do you like A Bug's Life? You've seen the movie, I assume, right?
A long, long time ago. I don't even remember when it was that I watched the movie, but I have seen it, yes.
I've definitely seen it many times. As far as Pixar movies go, I would say my favorite would probably be the Toy Story movies, but I mean, that's not an unpopular opinion at all.
Oh, no. And I thought about this too, because it feels like almost an impossible question of what your favorite Pixar movie is, because Pixar is just so good at story and they're so good at their animation and stuff. So it's to pick a favorite is almost impossible for me. I think if I had to pick one, absolutely, I would probably say maybe The Incredibles, maybe.
I was torn between Toy Story and The Incredibles.
Just thinking of the story between them. The Incredibles is such a good, they nail it. The second one, not so much, but the first one is very good.
Yeah, the second one's not bad. It's just nowhere near as good.
The second one is just, you guys wanted a second movie, so here you go. Finding Nemo would be my second option between the two. And same goes with Finding Dory. It was just, oh, here's the second movie just because you want it.
I've never even seen Finding Dory.
Yeah, I can't remember much about it. I have seen it. It's just, I don't know. It wasn't as good. You could tell it was just it was made for the sake of money.
Well, there's that one that came out a couple of years ago. I think it's called Soul.
Oh, yeah. I haven't seen that though.
It's about a musician trying to make a living. So I resonated with it for sure. But I really liked it. It had a lot of good music in it. It was, I think it was one of the ones that was released during COVID, just on Disney Plus. And yeah, I mean, I liked it. It's not I'm going to go watch it again, but I haven't really kept up on any of them. It's not I'm still watching Pixar movies really, but that one seemed like it was cool. So I gave it a shot.
Yeah, the same here. There are some I would like to go back and see, but I know their latest one, Elemental, wasn't too great. I think it bombed in theaters.
Yeah, I saw the ads for it and I was just not really interested at all.
Even from the ads, and I think it was confirmed this too, that it's just the generic story of the Romeo and Juliet of, oh, we don't belong together, but we're going to be together by the end. It's just the story that's been told over and over again.
Yeah, and we're going to get into this with this game too, but it's also not geared towards us. It's geared towards children. So who are we to judge a Pixar movie, I guess? I mean, obviously a lot of them are good for adults as well, but I feel like it's impossible to judge them correctly you know?
Yeah. And that could just be why, like, Elemental, we just grew out of that. I don't know, but I feel like all their other stories have always been so unique. So to just go to a bog standard storyline, this is not what Pixar usually does, which is weird.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong. And like, even with games, it's like just because a game is made for children doesn't mean it has to be shitty and bad and just phoned in.
Yeah, I feel like we played a kids game before, and it was actually pretty fun.
For this show or the old show?
Old show, not for this one. I can't remember though.
I don't remember, but we definitely have played some children's games.
Yeah, and what's funny about this show too is looking through the list of PlayStation games, there are legitimately like kids games. Not even the Bugs Life where you can like toe the line of a gray area between a kids game and not. Like we will have legitimate kids game that we will be playing. So I'm very curious and interested to see how those episodes go.
Yeah, one that actually comes to mind is whenever I was a kid, one of my little brothers had Mickey's Kitchen for PS1.
Oh, okay.
And it's literally just like a children's game, and you're just like pointing and clicking on things. And by children's, I mean like my brother had to have been like 4 or 5 years old playing this. So like thinking about us playing it and having to give it a score, I'm just like, I don't even know where we're even going to go with that.
Yeah, I don't know how we can even score something because it doesn't relate to us at all. But it'll be fun. I'm excited to get to those just to see what happens.
Yeah, I think that'll be when we bring back another like multiple games in one episode, like
100%.
The Mickey Mouse educational games, you know?
And I think there's like Dora educational games too. So those are going to be bundled videos for sure.
Yeah, I mean, with that, let's just go ahead and hop into this children's game, A Bug's Life. A Bug's Life was released on November 18th, 1998. It was developed by Traveler's Tales and published by Sony, which is interesting. Finding out a lot more games were published by Sony than I thought while doing this show. And this is a platformer. I would say it's like a collectathon / puzzle platformer because you're not just straight up going through the level.
100%, yes.
But you don't actually have to collect things most of the time.
I would say you probably never have to collect things aside from upgrading your seeds, which we can get to later.
Yeah, I guess you're collecting the upgrades, but I don't know. When I first jumped into this, the first thing I really noticed was just how bad the controls were.
Really?
Specifically, like with the camera, and like you can't control it.
Oh, yeah.
If you want to look another way, you have to like turn and then stop and wait for it to rotate.
There is a look button too.
But does that auto like move the camera for you?
Yeah. If you hold L1, you can look around without walking.
But what I'm saying is, let's say I'm going straight and I want to go left. You have to turn left and then wait for the camera to adjust.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you have to do that. Or one technique I started doing is if I had to turn left, as I was turning left, I was tapping the L1 button because L1 throws the camera behind you. So I'm like, you'll see the camera like jittering across because I'm trying to get it to stay behind me as I'm turning around or something.
I didn't realize that worked that way though. I mean, it's still annoying, but it's definitely, at least you don't have to stand there and wait. You know what I mean?
It's definitely a problem with the early 3D platformers is the camera movement.
But yeah, I mean, this game is so strange because I really don't have super strong opinions on it. It's just kind of like whatever. I mean, we're going to go through every aspect of this game for sure, but my initial impression was just like, this is just some just fine game that someone shit out for the movie, you know?
And it's interesting too, because for the intro and for the intro of every single level, you have literally a clip from the movie that plays, which I thought was a very nice touch.
No, it definitely is. I just wonder why, like, I don't know, how much of this movie do you remember? Like a lot? A little
Not
bit? Like
pieces. As things were showing up in the clips before levels, I was like, oh yeah, I kind of remember that scene, but it's a lot of a blur to me.
Well, almost all of the gameplay does not correlate to the movie or what's happening at all. It's kind of just like, here's a random thing that you're doing.
Kind of, yeah. It's more or less, here's a scene from the movie. Now here's a level that kind of closely resembles that scene that you just saw, but it's not 100% at all.
Yeah, I mean, I get that you have to do that with these kind of games, and there's not really much you can do to alleviate that. But at the same time, it just feels a little random almost. It's like, here's this scene. Now just do this. You know?
It's like a poor attempt to justify why you're doing something in a level.
But yeah, I mean, I guess just to get it started. The goal of the level is obviously to get to the end, just to find the exit.
Yep.
Unless it's like a collect certain amount of things. Like there's one where you're collecting pieces of a bird to build.
Yeah, and there's somewhere where you have to find people.
Yeah, and fighting a boss.
Yeah, I wouldn't count the boss
But
fights.
they do count them as levels.
Well, yeah, I just mean like for like specific types of level. Like obviously a boss fight's always going to be different than the rest of the levels.
Yeah, so I guess you're not really reaching the end on all the levels. It is pretty varied, I would say. Like you're never doing the same thing for more than one level, usually.
That's fair to say. Yeah, I would say for the first couple levels, it is pretty much the same, and then they switch it up whenever you get out of the tunnels and whatnot.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know. I just found it to be a little boring overall.
Kind of, but there is a difficulty spike if you're trying to 100% every level. Did you 100% any level?
Absolutely not. No, I did not.
So I 100% of the training level, easy to do. And then on the very first level, I think I spent about 45 minutes trying to 100% that level because it seemed simple on paper and I just couldn't do it. I couldn't get all the things. I'm sure I could have figured it out if I wanted to put in the time, but I'm like, I need to get more levels in before we record. So I need to give up on this and just keep going.
So how do you actually 100% the level? Because you have to get all of those gold berries.
Yes, you have to get 50 grain on every single level. You have to get, or I think in some levels it comes down to 30 grain, but a specific target amount of grain. You have to spell your name and you have to get the gold berries like you were talking about. And the way to get the gold berries is you either find the token to upgrade your berries to the gold status, and then any enemy you kill gives you a gold berry, or you have to equip the harvester, and any enemy you kill with the harvester gives you a gold berry.
Yeah, I would never do that.
And that was the thing is like, I think in the first level, they don't have a golden berry thing. So I threw on the harvester and I'm just walking around back and forth until enemies spawned and I'd kill them. And I'm like, this is taking way too much time.
Do you get anything for 100%ing a level?
I don't think so. Since the only one I did was the training one, obviously they wouldn't give you anything for that. The only thing, like even the grains, they don't provide you much. It's just if you collect all the grains and get the token, you get full health all of a sudden. And then if you collect all the pieces of your name, you get a life.
I was just about to ask because I never actually did that. I was wondering if I did the grain, but not on purpose. Just, while I was doing it, I hit the max. But I was a little surprised that getting all the grain didn't give you an extra life.
That's what I thought it was. And I had to go dig through the manual to figure it out of what actually gave me an extra life. Which, going into this, did you ever have a problem with how many lives you had?
So I was just about to bring that up. I got to my last life pretty later on in my playthrough. I did 13 levels out of the 15. And I want to say around 10 or 11, I was on my last life. So anytime I died, I hit the game over and I had to reload.
Yeah.
But I could never figure out how to get extra lives, like other than getting your name, which I never really did. So this game is easy, so it's not a big deal. But like, I pretty much played from that point on where if I died, I had to reload, which was annoying.
That makes sense. And I thought there was another way to get an extra life as well, but it's literally you just have to collect your name every single time. I was down to like one life left early on due to camera and the environment, which we can talk about when we get to those levels. But I found a little exploit, which I don't know if they intend for you to do this, but it doesn't matter if you collected your name on a level. As long as you collect it again, you get an extra life. So on the very first level, I got it down to about maybe 4 to 5 minutes a run. I started the level. I knew I was following the same path like a speedrunner would, collecting the name. The instant I got the last letter, exit the level, go back into the level. And I did that like 5 or 6 times to get up to a large amount of lives. And I never had a problem again after that.
I mean, that's not a bad idea, but this game is just not that hard. So like, I didn't even care. You know what I mean?
Oh, I get that. I just didn't want to go through reloading every single time. Like I didn't want one mistake to cause me to have to reload everything.
Yeah. They make you like watch a cutscene when you die. And like, then you have to sit through the game over screen. Then you have to reload it.
Yep. And it was just the cutback on that. I'm like, I'm going to put in maybe 20 minutes collecting all these extra lives and then I'll play the rest of the game.
Honestly, it probably ends up being around the same amount of time. It's just this way you don't have to sit through any like game over screen. So it's probably a smart idea to do that.
Yeah, and just all the other levels, I don't know if they're more difficult. It just takes more time to collect your name. I haven't tested it. It would be interesting to know if you can go to the training level and get your name, because I think that might be even faster than the first level.
Well, wouldn't you have to sit through the training level though?
No.
Can you leave immediately?
Oh, I see what you mean. Well, where your name is located. Did you do the training level?
I did.
Okay. So how your name's up on that ledge that you have to run around. By the time you get up there, that's the end. So you can just run to the exit if you're not allowed to exit. I'm not sure.
I just didn't know if it was like one of those training levels where you have to go through each instruction before you can end it, or if you could just like go really quickly, get the things, and then just leave.
No, because the first time I accidentally left before I finished the golden berries. I didn't know they wanted me to do more, so I left the level. And then I had to go back and finish it up to do the golden berries.
The training level is very helpful. I mean, obviously this game's pretty relatively simple to figure out, but it's a quick little thing. And most games should just have something like this, honestly.
Although they don't tell you everything about the game. So they don't tell you that you can look around with the camera. I know at one point, whenever you're in the canyon level and you have to run up like those mountains, like along the ledges up to the top where there's a spider.
Oh, I remember.
And I was like, oh, it'd be so nice to have a walk button. Apparently, if you hold the trigger button, that's walk. And I didn't know that.
I had no idea.
Yep. And they have a kick. Did you know about the kick?
How do you do a kick?
It's either hold the trigger or the bumper, and you do the throw attack, and he'll kick instead.
Well, I probably would have used that for sure.
I don't think I would have regardless. I never did in my gameplay at all.
I guess most of the time you're just spamming the berries. So like...
Yeah, it's either spam the berries or you just do the butt drop.
Yeah, I mean, all right. So the controls, I just feel like make it really easy for you to just get hit all the time because you have to be so precise.
Yeah, well, precise with what?
Both the berries and the butt stomps. Like sometimes the butt stomps would work when I was not even close to them. And then sometimes I would just stomp next to them and they'd hit me.
Oh, yeah. That was my biggest complaint with this game is the hitboxes on pretty much everything just don't seem right. There were times I completely ran through a piece of grain and it didn't count it because I didn't go through the right little dot on the grain to collect it.
That didn't happen to me, but that sounds about right for this game.
Mm-hmm. And it just seems like with the spiders, they give you a bigger radius that you can land next to them or something. But for smaller enemies, you have to be literally right on top of them for it to work.
Yeah, and then like, especially towards the end, like there's just so many fucking enemies on the screen all the time. And they're constantly respawning too. So like, you're trying to figure out where things are on a map. And you just walk a tiny bit away. And then you walk back and they're right there.
It's not even walking a tiny bit away. I think everything's on a timer. Like there are times I was just in the spot where I killed the guy and then he came right back in the same spot after a certain amount of time. And it's not a long time. It's like seconds, maybe 10, 15 seconds that they respawn.
That's ridiculous. Yeah, I never even tested that, but just the amount of enemies all the time, it's like, I'm just trying to find one of these goddamn tokens. Like, just let me explore. Why can't I just kill all the enemies and move on? It's not like they give you anything most of the time. Like sometimes an enemy will drop health. Sometimes.
Yeah.
But like, it's not a guaranteed drop and there's no way to guarantee it from an enemy. So why do I need to keep killing them over and over and over again? And especially if you forget and you walk back and you get hit and it's like just annoying for no reason.
Mm-hmm. The amount of just getting hit by things and deaths were pretty much caused by that of me turning around and due to the camera angle, I ran into something and didn't know it and I died.
At least you get a lot of hits before you die. I will say that. It's not like it's like 1 or 2 hits and you're dead. Because if the game was like that, I probably would have quit.
Isn't it like 6 or something?
Something like that, yeah. I mean, it takes a little piece of the leaf every time you get hit.
It's very forgiving. And the enemies don't chase you at all. They kind of just do their own thing until you get very close and then they'll come after you.
The only ones that I found that chased me were on the later levels with the grasshoppers. Those do chase you.
Oh, do they? In level 2, there's grasshoppers and they kind of just do their own thing.
So the level that I stopped on was you're trying to save the girl ant, which I forget her name, from Hopper, the main grasshopper. Mm-hmm. And you're in this relatively small map and you're kind of exploring around. You have to get tokens to get up and whatever, you know, the gameplay loop of every level. But there's grasshoppers everywhere and spiders and flying wasps and shit. And just like, if you go anywhere near the grasshoppers, they will chase you for a little bit.
Oh.
So like you have to keep moving. You can't just like stop and look around.
Interesting. So, okay, I guess there are some enemies that do chase you then.
That was really the only one I ran into. I mean, like, obviously when you get close to the spiders, like the daddy long legs and stuff, like those will chase you if you're right there, but they're not going to like follow you a little bit, whereas the grasshoppers do.
Oh, okay. And there's some enemies that you can't kill with your base attack or even an upgraded attack. You sometimes have to upgrade 2 or 3 times before that attack can actually kill them, which I guess is nice. It adds some difficulty.
Yeah, I mean, on the level that I was on with those grasshoppers, the red berries don't do anything at all to them.
And it's not like it's difficult to upgrade your berries. They're pretty generous on giving you the upgrades, at least from every level I played.
So yeah, I guess we should probably describe what you're doing in this game. So the loop of the level, right? You have seeds, and they're either planted in the ground and you can't move them, or you can pick them up and move them. There's 2 different kinds. And you get these tokens. And these tokens give you different ways to upgrade the seed. So the base thing that you can do is you jump on the seed and it creates a little mushroom, which you can bounce on. Wait, can you upgrade the mushroom?
Yeah.
I don't think you can.
You can.
Can you?
Yeah.
Most of the time, what I would end up doing is like, you get the green one, which spawns like leaves and plants you can jump on. So I would just spawn that next to the mushroom and jump onto it.
Oh, the mushroom leaf combination was the key to every single level I found.
Yeah, so there's that. There's ones that give you better berries. There's ones that can spawn a little thing on the ground that will shoot out health for you. There's one that spawns like a propeller that like shoots you up in the air.
That's the mushroom upgrade one.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah.
And then the final one is the pretty much like the defense turret plant, which you get in the later levels.
Yeah, I needed that one to complete the level I was on.
Oh.
So yeah, you're basically just upgrading these seeds, and then you use the seeds to traverse the level and get to the end, whether that's like finding someone or whatever. And that's what you do in every level. So like you're exploring, finding tokens, upgrading seeds, and then using those upgrades and seeds to find your way to whatever the goal is.
My biggest annoyance was every single level kind of seemed like you get to the ending and you get the final upgrade you need, and they expect you to go back to the beginning of the level to use your now upgraded thing to get the final pieces you needed to get 100%. So many times I'm like, I don't want to do this. Like, I'm at the end. I'm just going to finish the level.
I don't know if this was necessary, but I always found myself having to carry seeds really far lengths.
I just did it out of instinct. I'm like, I might need this later. I'm carrying this with me through the entire level.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I would go back and then grab one just to bring it all the way back. And luckily, you can drop the seeds on enemies while you're carrying them, and that will kill them. Because if they hit you when you're carrying it, you drop it, and that is very annoying.
Yeah, and another key part about the seeds is if you plant something and say you plant a leaf, but you didn't want the leaf, you can pick up the leaf and throw it, and then a seed respawns and where that leaf was sitting. So you're never wasting any seeds by growing them.
Yeah, there's a finite amount of seeds, so you can constantly just remake them into whatever you want. And I mean, at first I was like, this gameplay loop is kind of cool. Like, you know, it's encouraging you experimenting with all these different things. But then you kind of realize that there's a very specific way the game wants you to complete the level. And if you don't do it in this order, in this way, it just won't work.
Yeah. There's like several tokens just right outside of your range where you just need one more upgrade to get the thing. So now you got to figure out how to get this one more upgrade. And I think that was a lot of my frustration too, of just trying to understand where the token is that I need to get that final green upgrade to get the maximum plant I needed.
Yeah, it almost feels like there's like, the game like lacks direction in a way. It's like, yeah, I know what I'm supposed to do in this level, but it doesn't feel like the level is naturally guiding me to things. It's basically just like, here you go. Here's a big fucking room. Figure it out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree with that up until... I agree with that starting kind of with the city. And when you get into the city, that's where it just is... Everything looks the same and you're trying to just run around and figure out where things are. Which I guess is representative of what a city is.
True, but I just feel like the levels are just poorly designed, honestly, in a way that like you're just walking back and forth. Everything looks almost exactly the same. And then you're like, did I jump up this one thing here? And then you're like, oh, wait, there's a token here. And then you have to remember where specific things are. And it's very disorienting at times, honestly.
Yeah, especially when you're trying to find, or you see a token. So you're spending a lot of time doing that token. By the time you're done with that, you think, where am I supposed to go now? Because I lost my direction and I don't know. I will say though, like in the tunnel, the second level, when you're running through the tunnels, it is nice that they have those signs with an arrow because they expect you to get lost. So it's just in case you went down this one alleyway and you're coming back, this is the way you need to go to continue forward.
So in that second level, by the way, this happens later too. There's those gates that are blocked by if you don't have enough grain.
Mm-hmm.
Why are they there in the second level when you don't need to go through them?
Well, I think it's down to if you want to 100% it, because behind some of the gates are a letter, and behind other gates are, I think, an upgrade for a seed is another one.
Well, that's interesting. Yeah, because I pretty much just ignored it and just like went through the level.
Oh, it serves no purpose. I did go through a few of them, and then I realized I'm just wasting my time. So I just went through to the exit.
Yeah, because in the city level, you have to go through those gates.
Oh, yeah. In order to find the people you need, you have to go through them. And on that level, too, they give you barely enough. So you really have to find every piece of grain to make it through.
Yeah. And it just feels stupid collecting them anyway, because like they don't do anything other than helping you with 100%.
Mm-hmm.
I was just hoping they were like either, Wumpa Fruit and Crash, rings, coins, and Mario, like anything. Like, why don't I collect a certain amount and get an extra life? It just seems stupid.
Yeah, it just helps if you need health, I guess. But in that case, if you need health, you're either going to be dead by the time you find all the grain you need, or when you find all the grain, you don't need the health anyways because you're avoiding enemies. So it seems counterintuitive.
I did want to ask you, and I could have looked this up, but I wanted to see if you knew. You know how in certain levels, there's those little tiny, like seed-looking things that shoot up colors?
I think I know what you're talking about.
It's just like a little, tiny little thing, and you go over it, and he's like, I think I can use this, and then it shoots up like a color of some kind.
Does it look like the sunflower seed is? Not like an acorn?
Yes.
I think, because you see those in the city too. Those are just like, if you see one and it's like yellow, if you jump on it, it will grow into a fan. I don't think you can change those colors. It's just, if you jump on it, it's going to grow something that you need.
No. I'm not talking about like a regular seed. It's just like these little things that look like they're a part of the environment.
Huh. I wonder if I've even seen those then.
You have to have seen them. They're everywhere. It's just like a little thing. It looks like it's shooting up fog or something.
Oh, those little pods that when you walk over, a color comes out of them.
Yeah. What do those do?
I think it's just checkpoints, to be honest. Like if you were to die, it starts you from that last one you hit.
That's probably correct. I don't even know why I didn't think of that, but it's just like the way you go over it and he's like, I could use this or something like that. I'm like, what? What do you mean?
Can I just say, he talks way too much in this game.
I was just about to say it.
You saying that, of him saying that one phrase. I wish there was an option to turn like down how much he talks or just turn off him speaking at all, because I was getting so annoyed with him just every 3 seconds saying something or repeating himself over and over again.
Just collecting grain here.
Oh boy.
That's the one I heard the most. That one, and he's like, I need a super berry.
Yeah, I need super jump. And okay, well, where's the tokens I need to get you super? I thought it was like maybe trying to help you, but then I beat the level never needing super jump. So I'm like, why did you keep telling me this over and over again?
To be fair, the level he said that, I thought I did need it, but maybe you don't need it. I don't know.
But aside from that, the music I thought was amazing through this entire game.
It's not something that I would listen to on its own, but for what it is, I think it works for this game. It really has the right vibe for sure.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't be putting this on while I'm like editing or doing something, but just it fits the environment. It's very catchy. It's not just a second thought like most of the games we've done. It just adds to the whole world, and I thought it was a very nice touch.
Yeah, and on that note, I think the graphics aren't too bad either, honestly.
No, not at all. We've seen worse.
That's true. It's just like this game seems like it would be big budget, but it's not really. It's like somewhere in the middle,
And I thought it was a big budget because considering it was a Bug's Life in your marketing towards the movie, I just assumed that they put more time and effort into this game.
I mean, it looks like they put the effort into making it look like a Bug's Life as best they could, but not as like creating a good video game overall.
True.
I don't know. This conversation isn't really going one way or the other, so I'm kind of having a hard time gauging where we're at here.
It is very middle of the road.
The game is not bad, but I also didn't have that much fun playing it either. I wasn't suffering when I was playing it. I wasn't like, I can't wait to stop playing this. But I also wasn't like, I can't wait to play this either. I think if I was playing this on my own, I'd probably play it for like an hour and then be like, all right, whatever.
It is very simple. There's really never any time of struggle at all. There's times when I died and lost like all my lives, mainly because there's like some levels where you have that crevice and it's just an endless void. It's specifically in the second level and it's in the canyon level too. And I jumped over it, but apparently I hit the wrong pixels whenever I landed and it didn't count my jump. So it would either run off the ledge and fall, or I'd jump over and somehow miss the land and then fall back down into the hole.
Yeah, I only got by that once because I didn't realize I was supposed to jump over it. I thought it was going to like go down to a little thing down there where I would jump back up from. So I just like jumped into it and I died.
That makes sense. They also have the telescopes in the level too.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah, and they show you like what you need to find usually.
It's hard because whenever they do show you an area, you're like, okay, that's cool, but everything looks alike, so I don't really know where this is that you're showing me.
Yeah. And even on the level I stopped on, the map was so small, I already knew where they were showing me, but I'm like, I need to figure out how to fucking get up there. So like, you showing me there's a token really high up right here. Yeah, I already see it. But like, what am I supposed to do?
So I was done on level 10, where you had to find all the bird pieces.
Yeah.
I almost beat it, but I couldn't figure out how to get to the very tall mountain, like on top of that.
You upgrade your little berry thing that shoots things out, and eventually it upgrades to a cannon that shoots you really high.
Oh, I didn't even know you got the shooting berry in that one.
Yeah, that was the only level I use it. They call it a cannon, and he just like shoots himself really high up.
Oh, okay. Well, I was running around the level and I'm like, I don't have enough time. I need to finish this, so I just exited out. But I would have figured it out eventually if I had more time, but just wasn't there.
The level that I stopped on, level 13, it's so pretty much eventually what you have to do is you have to create the things that blow the air straight up that you can jump on, but you have to get another seed and throw the seed onto that to shoot that up higher. And then you have to do something else and get another seed up there. And then you have to do it again to get really high up. So to even start this, you have to build like the berry shooters to shoot down grasshoppers who are carrying around extra seeds. So you have to do that, get all the seeds, get them all up on this thing, and then do it again and get up really high to get the token.
That sounds like such a pain.
I got really far into it and then I realized that's what I had to do. And I'm like, you know what? I don't want to do this anymore.
Oh, I don't blame you one bit.
Well, then today I was going to do it again. I'm like, I could do this. And then I realized I had to start the level over again because I didn't like do a save state or anything. And I didn't have the willpower to do it again.
I do not blame you. That just seems like a lot. And it makes sense to why you need that tower defense berry, because I've wondered when that'd be useful and I've never found a reason to use it. So that's nice to know.
Yeah. I don't know. I just feel like a lot of the levels are just too long or too short. We flip-flop between these things of like a really annoying maze-like level or like just something really short and simple that's like kind of pointless.
Mm-hmm.
And even the boss fights are really just nothing. You just get the powerful berry and then just like keep pressing shoot till they die.
I did die on the first boss fight just because I was fighting the camera more than I was fighting the boss. And he was right behind me and I didn't know it. And I'm like trying to get something and then he hit me and I died. But the second attempt, once I got the homing berry, I just threw that. I didn't even have to care about aiming. And he was dead in like 3 seconds.
The game also like somewhat auto aims for you.
Yeah, it's generous.
It's not like reliable, but like I feel like it does kind of home in on them a little bit anyway.
Yeah.
Obviously the homing berry is different because you just throw it anywhere and it just automatically goes to an enemy.
Mm-hmm.
But even the normal berries to a degree, you don't have to aim, you know?
The second boss, which was the bird, I didn't even make it up to the platform I needed to be on to fight the bird. I was going up those side ledges and I saw that I can see the bird right in front of me. So I stood on that side ledge. He was outside of the draw distance and I was just throwing the berries and they were auto locking onto him. So I beat that level without ever actually doing it the right way.
Hey, I mean, if the game lets you cheese it, then cheese it.
Yeah. The only one that was a little frustrating was when you're in that can.
I did die on that one a few times.
And it's not because of the boss. It's just because of the environment again.
It's the environment and the camera combined that like, especially when you have to turn around and like be quick, like you don't know where anything is. And the game just like purposefully makes it so that you can't tell where you're going pretty much.
And that's a big part of this game is that the enemies are just there to annoy you, but they never cause a threat. Your biggest threat is the camera and the environment.
Yeah, I mean, overall, this game is pretty easy. Like, I think it's a little complicated for a kid's game, just as far as like all the combinations of berries and tokens and things you have to do. And like, it does require thinking. It's not like a straight up like baby game, you know?
Yes and no. I think for just the base game, if you're just playing, get to the exit, I think it's not too bad. It's very, very simple. But if you wanted to put into the time to 100% everything, that's where the difficulty rises significantly.
I don't know. I just feel like once you hit the city, there's that difficulty spike. As a kid, like I would have been like 7 years old when this came out, I think. Like, I don't know that I would have figured all that shit out. But, you know, who's to say?
Well, and that's the thing is, as we were going through the levels, like the one where you're riding the dandelion and stuff, like when I got to the level, I'm like, oh, I actually kind of remember this. Okay. So I think I did own this game. But then those later levels, I don't remember at all. So I think I just never made it to the later levels.
I was just about to say, I specifically remember up until the one where you're riding the dandelion and then the canyon and all that. But like after that, I don't really remember anything.
Yeah, I just wonder if it was just not memorable enough or we just never made it to that point.
I honestly think, like I said, I think this is just a little too complicated. For just what this game is in general, it just feels like they're kind of just throwing everything at it. I think this would have been better as just a straight up collectathon, like a Banjo-Kazooie or even like a, you know, Super Mario 64, Donkey Kong 64, like that kind of game.
Yeah.
As opposed to this like weird middle ground between like puzzle solving and collecting. I don't know.
I get that. It kind of reminded me, in a sense, this is going to be a stretch, but of Pikmin, where like different colored Pikmin do specific things and you kind of have to do this puzzle solving. The same thing applies to these berries or the seeds of getting the different colors and having them work together to get you to the area you need to be at.
This game just feels like it doesn't really know what it wants to be. It's like super simple at points, then too hard, then just like convoluted and maze-like. And then all of a sudden, the level I'm on, there's just so many fucking steps to beating it. I'm just like, you know what? I don't want to play it anymore.
Yeah, I get that.
But I have a hard time saying this is a bad game, though. Especially after this conversation we just had. Like, even earlier in this episode, I said it was bad. But then I'm like, is it bad?
That thought process has been my struggle this entire time. While playing the game and during this entire episode is I don't know. I think there are parts where I say it's bad, but then I'm like, but I don't think it is. I think it's a decent game, not good.
It's not good. It's not bad. It's just fine. But what is a fine score? You know? What does that mean? I had a score written down, but now I'm like questioning it. I'm looking at the ranking. I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, I hear you.
All right, well, let's hop into some reviews and then we can have this discussion continue as we figure out our scores together, I guess. So at the time, this game got terrible reviews. Like really, really bad. Almost every single one was bad. I think the Metacritic percentage is like 50% or something.
Oh, geez.
So IGN gave it a 4 out of 10. And they said, the game's 3D engine is capable of producing lush environments that mimic the films well enough. But once you actually start to move around, the action slows to a crawl. This kind of slowdown this far into the PlayStation's lifespan is simply inexcusable. And we didn't really mention this. The game does slow down a lot, specifically when like you're getting into like a really populated environment or something.
I don't think I've noticed that. Because there's been other games you said about that too, and I just don't think I noticed it at all. Is it like extreme?
Seems like the frame rate doesn't bother you. It's not extreme. It's definitely not like Dark Forces or something, but you just feel it slow down and then speed back up a little bit here and there.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that was a confusing review for me because I don't think I've noticed at all.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it happens when you're trying to move the camera too. It's just like, it feels like it's like jerking a little bit. I don't know. I didn't feel like it was worth mentioning when we were talking about the game, but like it is something that is there for sure. By the way, I also implore you to look at the N64 version of this game.
Oh, okay.
Because it looks like shit. But anyways, GameSpot gave it a 2.7 out of 10.
That's insane.
Now, I'm all for giving a harsh score if the game fucking sucks. But like, this game isn't a 2.7.
No.
That's insane.
Not at all.
But here's the quote. The camera is impossible to manipulate effectively, and you spend a lot of time bumping into things only because you can't work out where you stand in relation to them. Your main form of attack is a clumsy throw of fruit at enemies. It is very difficult to judge where to aim your shots.
I don't agree with anything here. Like, I think you don't have to aim at all. So why complain about it.
I mean, I agree with the camera stuff, obviously.
Oh, camera, 100%.
I mean, I would agree that the main attack is clumsy. It doesn't feel like you can aim at all. But like we were saying, the game already kind of lightly homes for you. So like an aim assist, you know? So I just don't know that it's worth going in on that.
Yeah, I think it's just the camera is your biggest enemy in this game.
Yeah, I mean, nothing else poses a threat to you other than the camera.
Yeah. Also, I looked up the N64 while you were doing that review. And yeah, it's not pretty. Some of it looks good, but the animations are bad.
Something just looks off about it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that brings us to our scores. I feel extremely conflicted. Typically what I'll do is I'll look at, if I'm conflicted like this and I don't have a number that really sticks out to me, I'll look at the list and be like, do I want to play this game more than that game? And that really still isn't helping me here at all.
and the thing, like, you put what, 2 or so hours into this and you almost beat the game.
Yeah. Beating
it as in you just completed every level, but not 100%ing. But yeah, I don't know. Do you want me to start kind of?
I think I could just go for it. I feel kind of similar to last week's episode, honestly, where like, it's not good. It's not bad. It's just so middle of the road. And like, I'm never going to think about this game again. Never going to play it again. That's for sure. But it's not that I hate it. It's just kind of whatever. So I think I'll just go with a 5.
Oh, wow.
Just like straight down the middle. It's not like a horrible game. It's not that great either. There's plenty of problems with it that make it not fun to play. So I'd rather play, quite frankly, Magic Carpet. I'd rather play Driver, rather play Destruction Derby. Like,
yeah, I get that. I had a big range going into this just because I didn't really know where to put it. Where I was pretty much going between a 5 and a 7. I'm like, I could see it going between all these. I don't really know where to put this.
I wrote down 5 to 5.5. That was my initial thing here.
Yeah, because it's like, is it bad? Yes. But is it somewhat good? Yes. There's a lot of flaws in this, but then is it just the flaws of the time where it could just be a little bit of flaws? Very complicated. I'm glad that I'm not the only one who had this much trouble ranking this. But I do kind of agree with you. Like, it's not bad, but it's not good. So I do think that the only reasonable place to put it would be a 5.5 for that.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Which then puts us at a 5.25, which is a new score that we've never dealt with before. So that's a rare occurrence now.
First week in a while with no ties. So
that means Bug's Life is going to go after Driver 1, which I think is reasonable, 100%.
No, where this sits is actually where I'd probably put it. I might put it under Magic Carpet, but I don't know. I'd have to let, time go and see how I remember both games. But yeah, I think that's a fair score. I don't think we made a mistake this time at all.
No. The thing is I hated my life playing Magic Carpet. I didn't hate my life playing this game. I had fun for as simple of a game as it is. I had fun, but it was kind of like a mindless fun. Never had to think, never had to really put much effort into doing anything. So it's kind of just, you sit back and you just finish these levels without really doing much.
I can agree with that. And speaking of making mistakes, I've got my pick for what I'm going to switch today.
All right.
So I'm going to change my score of Cooler World from 7.5 to a 6.5.
Oh, wow. You really went very low on that one.
So my thought process here, just let me explain it.
Okay.
A lot of these games in the middle here, right? Like Tekken, Hot Shots, Crash to a degree. These are all games that like are good if you like this kind of game, but they're not great games overall.
Okay.
Or, they're the first in a series, a first of a new idea, and they haven't really fully gone with it. And I think I just went a little too high with Cooler World. I think I was overcompensating because I don't like puzzle games and I didn't want to give it a bad score. But in reality, like, I used save states in that game to play as far as I did.
True.
If I didn't, I probably would have given it a lower score.
Yeah.
I honestly think a lot of these fixes are going to be from games where I use save states too.
Oh, 100%.
You telling me that we need to stop using save states was probably the best decision because it makes it a lot easier to score a game if you're just fucking slamming your head against the wall as opposed to like using save states to make it playable for yourself.
Exactly. Yeah, you get to see more of the game and you get to see how much it evolves, but at the same time, you're not experiencing the frustration as much.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is funny because my change was also going to be to Cooler World this year, or this episode.
That's insane.
And it's funny because I can't remember 100%. I'm pretty sure my score was around a 6 or a 6.5. And I think you argued and you convinced me that maybe it should be higher, but I never felt right giving it a higher score because it was just the timer. Honestly, the timer is what I hated the most. And I feel like it would have been a perfect puzzle game if you didn't have that timer. So it's kind of funny because I was also thinking I need to make this be a 6.5 as well. So it's hilarious that you went with the same game with the same score.
That's crazy. Yeah, I mean, we're on the same page again. And that's actually going to give us another tie.
Oh, wow, yeah.
With Diver's Dream.
Oh, that's a tough one.
I would go with Diver's Dream personally.
So what are your arguments to having Diver's Dream in that?
Just felt like more of a game, more of a fleshed out game, more ideas, more shots taken at what the game could be. Whereas like, yeah, Cooler World knows what it wants to be. It's a puzzle game, but small tweaks would have made Cooler World so much better. Whereas like, I feel like Diver's Dream is just a better game overall, honestly.
My whole argument was going to be that the lack of content in Diver's Dream compared to Cooler World. But I do think I agree with you that Cooler World just has more flaws with it. And it makes it a bit more of a frustrating experience where Diver's Dream isn't that frustrating and it is a more fleshed out idea.
Well, all right. I'm glad we are in agreement. This is an interesting change, but I'm glad we're on the same page.
Yes.
I'm excited to see whenever we, like if I bring a change and you're like, no.
So, I mean, that makes Cooler World move down to spot 14, which is good. Honestly, I'm kind of running out of changes. I think I have about 1 or 2 more that I would like to make a change to, but we'll just have to see what that is in the coming weeks.
Roughly looking, let me just do a quick count. I have 5 more I would like to change.
Oh, wow.
Most of them not drastic. I mean, I was getting the more drastic ones out of the way.
Right.
Just a little, like we're saying, the longer you get away from the game, what you remember of it, and like, especially comparing it to all the other games we're playing now, it's very easy to see why we made a mistake.
Mm-hmm. And I think with that episode specifically with Cooler World, it's just like, am I looking at this game wrong? Because like you gave it such a high score and then convinced me to go higher. I'm like, maybe I'm just not looking at this right. And then as more time went on, I'm like, no, I hated that timer and it made the game so much worse because of it.
Yeah, and I was kind of doing the same thing where I'm just like, I really didn't like that game that much, did I? I don't know why I gave it that high of a score. Probably because I didn't have the same frustrations as you because I use save states.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think we're pretty good at going back and fixing our mistakes and going forward, playing the games the way they're meant to be played,
Yeah. 100%.
All right, well, that is going to do it for us. Thank you so much for watching or listening. If you enjoyed this, please remember to like and subscribe as well as give us a rating on podcast services. We'll see you next week.